Hello, and welcome to our special year-end holiday edition of Curbside Chat. Today we're coming to you from the world's largest Christmas store, Bronner's Wonderland, located about 25 miles north of Flint in Frankenmuth, Michigan. The store sits on 27 acres of beautifully landscaped property. And do they ever have lights? 40,000 of them strung outside in a half-a-mile loop. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm driving this convertible, the people at Bronner's told me that the most popular form of transportation around here is usually something in red and open air. So I wanted to fit right in. And I'm not sure this classic 1953 Buick Skylark is quite what they had in mind, but I think it's going to work out just great. You see, I purposely put the top down on this beauty, and I plan to fill it up with a lot of wonderful holiday surprises from Bronner's. Come on, let's go in where it's nice and warm, and I'll show you what I mean. Once inside Bronner's, you're literally surrounded by a spectacular array of holiday color that's a real treat for kids. In fact, kids of all ages. Over 2 million visitors come here each year to visit this store, which is the size of 4 football fields. Visitors can choose from more than 50,000 different holiday trim items and gifts ranging from ornaments to nutcrackers to candy canes. Impressive numbers indeed. And with your hard work, Buick put together some rather nice numbers too. Let me congratulate all of you on the latest CSI ratings. Buick was the only GM division to hit its PDS and SSS model year goals, and we're confident that will carry into the September numbers when they come in. For the month of August, our purchase and delivery survey came in at 66.9%, bringing our 12-month average up to 68.5, and that's 1.3 points ahead of our 1997 commitment. There's similar good news for our service satisfaction numbers. For the month of August, our ratings came in at 62.2%, boosting our 12-month average to 62.5%, 0.4 of a point ahead of our 97 objective. Your commitment and follow-up with our customers is help making the difference. Thanks for all your hard work. Overall, our sales picture in November also showed some positive signs. Buick's market share for November came in at 5.7%, up 0.2 of a point versus last year. Although we didn't make our retail sales objective, total sales for November were up 3.2% over 1996, with strong performances from Century, Park Avenue, and Regal. When you exclude Skylark and Roadmaster and focus on just our available retail models, retail sales were up 3.4%. In fact, Buick was GM's #2 division for retail car sales the 3rd month in a row. Now, to help bolster sales in the East, we're announcing a very exciting relationship marketing initiative. It's Buick's sponsorship of college basketball's Atlantic Coast Conference. Buick will be the official car of the hottest conference in the NCAA, with such teams as Duke, North Carolina, and Virginia. The sponsorship will feature special tie-in promotions. Buick will have a 3-year relationship with the ACC, which kicks off on New Year's Day. It'll run through the entire season until June of each year. We're excited about it, and we believe it's a big opportunity to reach a lot of younger buyers that we're targeting. You can just imagine how many younger buyers come through this place. Bronner's Wonderland wasn't always this size. The original facilities have been renovated several times over the years to accommodate the changing needs of the customers. Like Bronner's, we recognize the need to stay relevant with our customer needs. And to help us do that, last month, we announced the opening of 2 brand new Buick flagship dealerships. Our flagship strategy focuses on about 150 leading-edge exclusive Buick retail facilities. These dealerships will be located in identified prime luxury shopping areas across this great country of ours. The announcement was made at the official unveiling of our first flagship stores, Zimbrick Buick in Madison, Wisconsin, and Tom Kelly Buick in Fort Wayne, Indiana. As Larry Heiss pointed out, we put a lot of time and effort into the planning of these flagship facilities.
In the past 3 years, we've spent countless hours, more than anybody really wants to talk about, studying and testing strategies for creating a refreshingly different retail experience. We've worked with our dealers and customers to identify the things that work best. We call them best practices. They combine to create a retail experience that attracts and delights the customers at every turn.
The flagship stores will lay the groundwork for a coordinated and distinctive Buick customer experience at all of our retail facilities. One thing Bronner's does so well is knowing exactly how to select just the right products to satisfy a variety of customer needs for all ages and tastes. Planning the right kind of marketing strategy for our products is also essential to our success. For example, I believe 1998 will be a very special year for our mid-size entries, Regal and Century. And I recognize there are a lot of questions in the field with regard to our mid-size strategy. So recently, I asked our two brand managers, Tony Derhake and Roger Adams, to talk about the mid-size marketing strategy we're taking with these two cars.
Well, thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. As far as our mid-size strategy, we've had a 1-2 punch here. We actually offer two cars in the marketplace today with more differentiation today and a more of a premium statement for Buick than we ever have in our history. When you look at our two vehicles today, quite frankly, they're considerably different. I'm talking about different engines. I'm talking about overall suspension system. I'm talking about steering ratios. I'm talking about the overall wheels and the tires. When you get in these cars, the general character of the car feel considerably different. When you get inside the vehicle, one is a very practical car, a bench seat, a very value-focused offering. And of course, you get into Regal, you get the bucket seats, a bit more of a sporty offering, and a bit more performance.
Strange as it may sound, doing these cars together gave us a chance to pull them apart. We designed them each for a different target market, and it's been very exciting to see the results in the marketplace. But as Tony mentioned, we have very different character, these two cars. And Regal, for example, is going after this expressive, sporty minded buyer that's coming to Buick perhaps for the first time, someone who's a little bit younger and someone who's never been to the Buick store before. So it's exciting to see that expression as well in this mid-size strategy.
Now, a lot of you are saying, that's all great, but is our mid-size strategy really bringing in the customers it's targeted for?
Yeah, well, so far, our mid-size strategy has been working very well. Let me share with you a few facts so you can see what I mean. First of all, in terms of volume, our overall Buick mid-size volume is up in 1997, which is it's a great statement for Buick and the whole organization. But more specifically, when we look at any of the key dimensions of the car, you look at Regal, for example. Our average age of the Regal buyer has dropped by 7 years in the third quarter of 1997, which is very impressive. And in fact, 40% of our volume are now from buyers that are under 59 years of age. We have a few other key dimensions I'd like to share with you that have been improving to show that we are getting some of these new buyers. One is education level. Our percent that have college graduate degrees has now increased by about 30% since we've launched this vehicle. And our average income is way up. In fact, we have the highest household income of not only any GM mid-size sedan, but any of our competitive domestic mid-size sedan. The Regal has the highest income of anyone in that group. And as we look even further in terms of what people are comparing us to, we see that number one for a second choice among people who've bought a Regal, the number one second choice car is Camry. So we've gone way up the scale in terms of import cross-shopping, and in fact, people are now cross-shopping very heavily between Regal and Camry. So again, it's indicative that we're getting some of these new buyers to come into the Buick store.
The same thing is true really for Century. Our overall retail buyer is some 7 to 8 years less than it was in 1995. And the reason I take 95 because that was the last full year of production. When you look at our lease side of the business, which is typically our younger buyer, we're like 18% lease. If you look at 1995, we were like 2%. So that is a significant step forward in getting the kind of customer. When I talked about this 1-2 punch and talked to the kind of customers we're getting, in complement to the Regal, we are getting this value, practical buyer that gives us an expression both of some new buyers, some conquest owners, as well as a vehicle that is very well accepted by what might be considered our traditional, Buick buyers.
To some degree, we're getting the right customers to come into these cars. And importantly, we're beginning to get them into the right product as well. And I know it's true for both Century and Regal. From a Regal standpoint, we have almost half of our volume going into the Regal GS. That's telling us that people are coming in looking for that sportier expression. And when we go to the LS, we have half of our sales are in the LS that has Y56, 16-inch wheels, and leather. So people are buying the more premium, sporty, upscale kind of expression of Regal, which is exactly what it was designed to do. And I know Century has some of the same early success.
As a matter of fact, Roger, you're right on. The Century with this Limited is like 27% of our volume. And that's a good margin car for our dealers, and it's also a good expression of being a premium Century. We no longer offer that bottom end, if you will, that Century Special, which really was not a Buick. Every one of these vehicles is a Buick. It is a premium expression of this particular car market.
So it's absolutely critical we get the right customer and we get them in the right product.
Finally, you've been saying, are we seeing an impact on the bottom line with these cars?
Well, of course, we started the Century from a standpoint of the impact. We've designed the Century to be the volume car. We saw a segment of the market out there, and we targeted the Century right at the heart of that segment. And as shown on this chart, you can see it has been a very successful, and we absolutely feel we've hit that target. If you look at 95, which was a full year of production for the the previous model Century, and you compare that against 98, I'm talking about a 33% increase in volume. I'm talking about the market share of that segment. I'm talking about over a 10% increase. So as this chart shows, there is no doubt that car has hit the target, and we see a lot of opportunity as we go forward in the out years. And I look forward to being a part of that.
The other good thing is both Century and Regal are meeting their sales forecasts, both on a month-to-month and on a year-to-date basis in 1997. Now that might surprise some people. As looking at the sales, you might see that Century is in fact outselling Regal. But it's important to note we didn't design these cars so they would sell 50-50. In fact, we designed and in fact are producing these cars in a 2-to-1 ratio from Century to Regal. And both cars are hitting their sales forecasts in 1997. And just to say a little bit more about Regal, the reason Regal is selling at the rate it is has a couple of one-time things that happened in 1997. First, we had a later production start than Century in 97, as we began our launch in May. We also were not producing the more conservative, more practical custom that we had in the past, and we've conceded some of that volume to the Century business, and we also have a third less fleet in our projections for 1997. So overall, we're very comfortable with where we've started for Regal, and importantly, we're trying to build this car and add a lot of growth in 1998 and 1999 as we begin to get these non-traditional customers coming in to buy Regal and coming into our Buick stores.
Roger, when you look at the two cars, put on a chart and look from 96 on through 97, it turns out when you look at the sum of the Century and the Regal on the retail side, you have a very positive trend, trending up over time. And as a matter of fact, in the October time frame, we actually outsold the aluminum Monte Carlo in combination, the sum of those two cars, against the Century and the Regal.
And that's terrific. That's another example of the midsize strategy working. What I'd really like to see, Tony, is that when Century and Regal together will outsell Taurus on a retail level.
I see some opportunity there also. When you look at the second quarter versus the third quarter, our domestics have been up over 2 percentage points. It's given us another expression that this vehicle does have an opportunity to get some of these Taurus buyers. A number of those buyers of the past have been somewhat rejectors to their current design.
Well, let's talk about how we might go after that kind of growth and beat Taurus in the marketplace. First of all, to me, the most important would be to order the cars with the right content to match the right target customer that we're trying to reach. Not the traditional buyer of the past, but the new buyers that we're getting for both Century and Regal. Now, with regard to Regal, I think what that means is keeping our content up on the GS. We've been running about 45% GS nationwide. I think that's indicative of the new buyer coming to us. I think we should keep that up. And importantly, they'll probably be looking for sunroofs, and they'll be looking for chrome wheels or the electronic heating and ventilation system that we have available in the GS. With regard to the LS, and I think this is a big one, we're seeing a lot of demand for the 16-inch wheel with Y56, as well as leather in the cars. In fact, that combination of LS is our fastest selling Regal right now.
You know, similar point with the Century. The Century, with this touch of luxury, comes very well equipped even as a base car. And that's one of the reasons we try to make the expression out there, a premium mid-size car with a touch of luxury. But when you get to the limited side, you actually can take the vehicle on upscale, still for a practical buyer, still a bench seat car, but you can take it upscale to meet those amenities and those features that this upscale buyer, in fact, may require.
And now that we have the right content in the cars, we have to go after the right customers and go after them in a promotional way. Go after them in such a way that would really attract them into the Buick dealerships. So for Regal, what that means is the outreach customer. What are you going to do to get that customer into Buick for the first time? There are a lot of programs on a national level to do that, but we need to work in concert with the local level to make sure that we're all talking to this customer in a similar fashion.
In the case of the Century, Roger, we look forward to the opportunity to compare the Century against this competitive set. I'm talking about this Camry buyer. At one time, the Camry buyer would, so to speak, outstretch the opportunity for the Century. That is not true today. Today, we want to be compared. We want a buyer to come in and compare a Century price, a Century content, to a Camry, to a Taurus. When we, in fact, do that, we're going to see a lot of opportunity, come our way.
You know what, this midsize strategy is really a plan to win. The whole idea here is to grow the total share of midsize for Buick. And we've talked about a lot of ways to do that, and we're getting the right content and the right product, and we're going after the right customer. And now I think it's important that we really go for growth, that we work together to grow this midsize segment, because a lot of good things happen when you grow. First of all, if we grow and get to be larger, we have more money to spend. If we grow and are larger, we'll probably get a larger share of the plant and might have more volume coming our way that we could promote as well. So there's a lot of good things that can happen with volume, and this really is a growth strategy with the midsize.
That's right, Roger. We see a great opportunity now. Why these cars are hot. We need to get these customers in, both our traditional customers as well as these new conquest customers. Buick has had a long history of being very successful, once we in fact get access to these customers. You take this opportunity and this brand strategy, along with the best dealer franchise organization in the industry, we got a great opportunity as we go forward. And I look forward to being a part of it. Good luck and good selling.
All right.
Well, that's brand managers for you. You can't live with them or without them. Thanks, guys. Bronner's employees are specially trained in the areas they can work in so they can properly attend to customers' needs. While products and facilities are important, Bronner's knows it's equally important to be able to respond positively to specific customer inquiries. And that's certainly the case for us. It's critical for our sales consultants to be up to speed, not just on Buick products, but on competitive products also. To help Park Avenue continue its efforts to outsell Lincoln Town Car, a special competitive walk-around training program will begin in February for all of our sales consultants across the country. We'll have the opportunity to test their knowledge against other salespersons, and some will go on to compete for district and zone honors. Prizes for winners include cash awards for both district and zone competitions. The program will tie in with a national direct mail campaign in the first quarter, inviting prospects to compare Park Avenue. More details on the program will be coming our way shortly. The Bronner story is quite a remarkable one. Who would have thought that this place actually started out as a local sign-making shop some 52 years ago? Wally Bronner definitely had a keen eye for opportunity and was always looking ahead to plan the right products and services for customers' changing needs. That's exactly the thinking that went behind the development of Destination Buick Experience. We recently shared this with key Buick stakeholders, which included the National Dealer Council, the brand team advisors, key suppliers, GM and NAO executives, design engineers, and our own employees. This event visually defines Buick's current thinking on future customer trends and our charted course for realizing the potential opportunities we have as an organization. We recognize there are a lot of things that will impact our direction, and we think we know what some of those things are. The key is to stay on top of changing trends with our customers. Destination Buick also included a look at a very special concept car. It's a concept car that's versatile enough, capable enough, intelligent enough, and premium enough to meet all the needs of leading-edge boomers, and then some. And that's why, at the 1998 North American International Auto Show in Detroit, just a few weeks from now, we'll unveil an all-new concept vehicle aimed at meeting the needs of today's active families in a brand new way. It's called the Buick Signia. And as the name suggests, it's a signal of our future product thinking, a test bed for a lot of relevant, customer-oriented, and very exciting ideas. You know, whenever we set out to design a new vehicle, it's always with the idea that it could be an award winner. Recently, Consumer's Digest magazine recognized Century as one of its best buys. The award was presented to Tony DeHockey at a press gathering earlier this month.
We sometimes have to split hairs to decide on cars. We have to stack up their features. We have to stack up their performance against the type of buyer we think will be interested in the car. In the case of the Century, it's fighting in an extremely competitive segment, and it makes it all the more remarkable for any of the cars that get named in that category. So I will present the award to Tony, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. The magazine reported, Century has a host of dramatic improvements. It is a thoroughly modern vehicle in every regard. Our congratulations to Tony, the Century brand and VLE teams, and the design team for their outstanding accomplishment. I'll be back in a moment to take your questions on this special holiday edition of Curbside Chat. Santa's received all your wishes for Christmas. Let's see what we have first. When will we get a supercharged LeSabre? Why not resurrect the LeSabre T-Type? It would be a great car to get the younger people interested in. Thanks for your comments, Norm. We don't have either a supercharged LeSabre or a LeSabre T-Type in the near future. The brand focus for the LeSabre is to provide peace of mind and great value to customers, and so far, we haven't seen our customers asking for these features. However, we do appreciate every suggestion, and we continue to listen to be sure we get a better product in the future, even better than the best-selling car we have today. And while we're on LeSabre, recently there was an announcement about the closing of Buick City. And unbelievable to me, now there's a lot of rumors going around that the Buick LeSabre will be discontinued after the 1999 model year. Let me assure you, the LeSabre is here to stay. We may not produce it in Buick City, but we have other plans. Well, we will produce it. No one even is thinking about discontinuing the LeSabre. We had two comments sitting on the roof installation for the Park Avenue. The writers indicated that they thought the installation was very poor, and in a rainstorm or car wash, the sound is terrible. Thanks for your comments, and we agree. To fix the current problem with your vehicles you're seeing in your service department, there are procedures outlined in the service bulletin that we issued in March of this year. For your reference, it's service bulletin number 63-10-50. In the bulletin, it indicates that the dealership should remove the headliner and reinstall it using the proper techniques and adhesives outlined. We're working with the Orion Assembly Plant to implement engineering changes that will take care of the situation on future cars manufactured. Why doesn't the Park Avenue, Ultra, and Riviera have an automatic trunk pull-down? This is something that all my customers have had in the past and on their past Buicks, and they expect it on their new Buicks. Well, Brett, the automatic trunk pull-down closing system has been an extremely high warranty item in the company for a number of years, and we're trying to move away from it. We felt that the value associated with the mechanism and structure on the vehicle being such as it is, that the pull-down wasn't really needed. That's why we went to the 4-bar link system, which should provide improved closing efforts. In the past, Buick has used one product catalog for all lines. Why the change this year to individual catalogs? Well, Roger, we went to individual brand brochures this year because we have established individual characters and identities for each car line brand. And the individual brand brochures allow us to really tell the whole story for each brand, including the product, lifestyles, and life stages in 36 to 40 pages. We simply wouldn't be able to provide that in-depth information for each brand in a 130-page brochure as we've had in the past. And anything larger would be too difficult for the dealer to handle. In addition, we hope that the individual brochures will provide you increased flexibility for your mailings and special events where you're featuring one brand. Why were heated seats deleted on incoming stock Regals without informing dealers? I thought this is a Buick team. Where's the communication? Jim, thanks for your comment. You know, we did notify our regional offices and asked them to communicate with our dealers that heated seats were deleted on the Regals due to a switch defect that was considered a safety concern. I'm not sure what happened with the communication to your dealership, but I can tell you we all have gone in an engineering change that should put heated seats back into production by the mid-January timeframe. So stay tuned. I read that the 3.8 V6 engine may be dropped. Hopefully this is not true. It's one of GM's best. Good power, good gas mileage, and it doesn't break. We agree, Jim, it's a great engine and has been rated by Ward's Auto World as one of the top 10 engines for the past 3 years. However, we're always looking to continuously improve our engines to meet the ever-increasing government-regulated fuel economy and emission standards. In the future, if the 3.8 engine is unable to meet these regulations, we assure you that we'll develop a new engine that is comparable in performance and fuel economy to the 3800. Well, that's all the time we have for questions on the program. But remember, keep them coming, and I'll try to get as many of them answered as I can. Now I'd like to recognize a couple of members of the Buick family for their achievements on Coletta's Catch of the Day. It isn't often that we get the opportunity to recognize someone celebrating 50 years with the same Buick dealership. Well, we have such an opportunity. Congratulations to Bob Travis of Suburban Buick in Wheaton, Illinois. Bob joined Suburban back in 1947 and has spent all but 3 of those years selling more than 10,000 Buicks to some very happy customers. Thanks, Bob, for your tremendous accomplishment and dedication. We have another special person to recognize who's also in a class by himself. That's Rusty Childers, president of Childers Buick in Phoenix, Arizona. Rusty has the unique distinction of being the only Buick dealer to receive the Automotive Hall of Fame coveted Young Leadership of Excellence Award. His dedication and focus on improving customer satisfaction have earned him this high tribute. His book, Creating Service Excellence, has also become a very important employee training tool in his dealership. Congratulations to Rusty and best wishes for continued success. When I look back on this year, it's clear we've seen a lot of change. We've launched new products with new brand strategies, and we've implemented and unveiled some new business opportunities. We've been to China to open new doors of opportunity for the future and participated in the return of the 1907 Peking to Paris Great Race. Finally, we shared with our stakeholders the trends we are tracking and our charted course for the future. And through it all, we've been able to maintain a pretty steady course with a lot of promise for the year ahead. Buick has had a rich heritage since its early years in Flint, nearly 95 years ago. And as we approach our centennial, it seems appropriate to end this year with a commitment to preserve the history and traditions of this great company. So at a press event held earlier this month, we were proud to present the Sloan Museum in Flint with a check for $100,000 to help renovate a nearby building into the new Buick Gallery and Research Center.
Now, thanks to this project, and thanks to the generosity of Buick Motor Division, the Sloan Museum will be able to resume its position and deserve it even more than it has in the past as one of America's premier automotive museums. Thanks again, Bob, and thanks again to Buick.
The goal of the center is to provide a place to permanently house Buick's great heritage for researchers and visitors alike, and will place nearly 50 vintage cars, most of which will be Buicks, on permanent display. Flint has been very much a part of the Buick family for almost this entire century, and this building will form a cornerstone for Buick Centennial in 2003. In closing, I'd like to extend warmest wishes for the holiday season to all of you and your families from all of us in the Buick family. If we believe in one another, well, just about anything is possible. Have a safe and wonderful time, and let's all look forward to a bright and prosperous new year. Thanks for joining us.